Anthropic just dropped another incredible feature, and it is called Claude Design, and in this quick tutorial I show you all you need to know. The idea behind Claude Design is making any design related task as easy and quick as possible, especially when it comes to slide presentations and websites. The only requirement to be able to use Claude Design is having at least the Anthropic Pro subscription, but if you use already Claude Code, that's given anyway. So if you need any kind of website, dashboard, app design or slide deck, this video is for you. Let's get started. Alright, as you can see, I'm already logged in to my Anthropic, to my Claude account. And if we go here to the left side, we see Claude Design. So when we click on that, we come to that interface. Here on the left side, we have the opportunity to work with Claude Design to create things like websites or slide presentations, and we will come to that in a second. And here on the right side, we see our own designs, but also some examples. As you can see, I already set up a design for a client of mine, but first I want to show you the examples. So when we click to examples, we see some already pre-built examples of Anthropic that show us what kind of designs we can create. For example, if we go to that slider here, we can play around a little bit with that example card, and these are things that you could also implement on your websites. But this is of course just a little gimmick where they show us what is possible. More interesting is something like that. You see that we can also create a custom way how our text, for example, is blended in when we write something on a website, or if we want to illustrate something when text is moving in on our website. Then down here we also have some organic loaders. You see, something like that would be very unique if you have a website where something is loading and instead of just a circle you have something like that. Even more important when it comes to app design, you see here we can basically create entire app interfaces in seconds using Claude Design. Down here we have another loading spinner. This time it is basically a globe, looks pretty nice. And in the next example we see that we can even create entire videos that are entirely animated, for example here about cosmic scale. And what Claude Design is doing here is basically just using certain design elements and then rendering it to a video, and stuff like that is easily doable. The last example is a wallpaper that is basically animated. You see when we go over with the mouse it changes, and also things like that on your website would be super cool, and in the past this was super expensive and difficult to create. Alright, that's it regarding examples. Now we test it out. So we click up here to design systems, and now we have the opportunity to set up a so-called design system. And what is that? A design system is basically a project that contains all the information that is relevant to any kind of design, for example of your brand or your website. I already set that up for a customer of mine, but now I will do it one more time from scratch so that you see how this actually works. And all we have to do is click here to create, and then we can set up our design system. First we have to give a name, and I will call mine just Limitless AI Solutions Design System. And then here at the next part we can provide any kind of information that is relevant to our brand design. We could, for example, connect an entire GitHub repo. We can add code that is already located on our computer. We can upload a Figma file, which some people use to design their websites, and we can also add fonts, logos and other assets. And of course we can also provide down here in a text prompt any other information that is relevant to Claude Design to create our design. And I will now just provide the HTML code and the CSS of my existing website, exactly that one, and then we will see how good Claude Design will copy exactly my website design, so then I can use it from now on in slide presentations or in other landing pages. And I will use exactly that one to upload my website code. We provide it as an asset. So we click here to browse, and then I upload the style CSS and the index.html. This is the HTML code of my website. And this is already everything. Now I click to continue to generation. Then we click to that button, generate. And as Claude Design says, it takes now up to 5 minutes until our design system is created. We see here on the left side, as we also know it from Claude Code, that it started with basically creating a to-do list. And now it will go through that to-do list to set up our design system. And when this is done, I come back to you. Alright, Claude Design is still working on the design system, but we see here on the left side that some things are already done. And now it is also asking for additional input and also for our feedback. So first it starts with the color palette. It is asking if these are our brand colors, if this is fine, and we can just agree or disagree. I will agree because this is pretty good matching my brand colors. Then we see border and shadow tokens. Also that looks absolutely fantastic, exactly like my website. We can go real quick to my website and then you see exactly what I mean. So it copied perfectly my design. We click here, looks good. We have the fonts and the scale. Also this is perfect. We accept it. The buttons also just perfect. Looks good. We have our class cards, also fantastic. We have spacing and radius. I think this is also pretty good. Shadows and glowing, also nice. Labels and tags, also perfect. And the navigation bar, I think we can also take that. Then it also detected how the review cards are created. Looks good. And at the very bottom, we have, for example, tech and project pills, for example, which technology I am using. And that's pretty much it. You see, we can also upload custom fonts. We don't do that for now. We just leave all that to Claude Design. And you see, because I uploaded the HTML and the CSS, Claude Design understands perfectly how my design looks like. But you can also just provide an example website or screenshots, and Claude Code is also able to do that. This is what I, for example, did for my customer, and I just copied his entire brand design to create nice looking PDF reports for him. And also that worked great without providing any HTML or CSS. Now Claude Design created the website UI kit, and I agree, this looks also absolutely fantastic. It is basically my website. So we also agree on that. All right, Claude Design is ready. Your design system is ready. And here on the left side, we see some caveats. So Claude Design tells us that, for example, the logos are missing, the favicon, and so on. So if you provide these kind of information, the design system gets even better. Now that the design system is created, we see it shows up here in my designs. And then we can go to the left side. And here we have the opportunity to create a website or a slide deck. And we will begin with a slide deck. You just enter any name, for example, slide deck AI agents. And then we can select exactly the design system we just created. If you select here use speaker notes, there will be less text on the slides and we have separate speaker notes. So I won't do that, because I want all the text on the slides. And then we hit create. And now we see here the editor. And down here we can describe exactly what we want to create. And I would just go with the prompt, create a slide deck using my design and the provided content. And then we upload the entire slide content as MD file. This is just a random created content about self-learning AI agents that I created with Gemini. We just provide that and then we send it out. And now Claude Design will understand that it has to create the slide presentation using exactly the Limitless AI solution design system that it just created earlier. And here on the left side, exactly as we also know it from Claude Code, we see now exactly what it is doing in the exact order. It starts with setting up a to-do list, and then it will go through the to-do list step by step and create our slide presentation. Fantastic. Claude Design is still working. We see that on the left side, but we also already see what it did so far. So the process is not done yet. It is still in the designing phase, but we already can see what it did so far. We can just go through the slides, and I think we can all agree this looks exactly like my website. I really like the design so far. And whenever we click here to that refresh button on the left side, we can refresh the design. So when Claude still changed something or we change something, we see always here the latest design. So now it is done with the first draft. I think this looks great. And now I show you how you can edit that, because we have different opportunities to do that. We can go here with comment. And then we can, for example, select an element here and tell Claude Code to change it. For example, we can click on that title and then tell it, make that 30% bigger. We send it out and Claude will do that for us. We just click on the refresh button and we see it is bigger. Fantastic. What we also can do is edit. And when we do that, we can just go through all the elements and we can manually change things. For example, if I don't like that little minus sign, we can just delete it, or we could just enter here any other word we like. For example, I can write here new or whatever I like. And you see, now it basically is exactly the same like PowerPoint or Canva, but all powered by Claude Design. And you see, it is super complete. We can change here the font size, the font type, opacity, just everything as we also know it from other editors. And then we have another cool feature, and this is draw. So we can basically just draw here on the canvas and we test this out. So I will just type here a little robot, basically like the Claude robot looks like, something like that. And then hopefully we get a little robot here. So perfect, I reloaded and you see now we have a robot that looks pretty exact like my sketch. And this is just one example of what you can do here. You see, you can be super creative and Claude Design just gets it done. All right, now I'm actually pretty happy with the design, and then we can just go here to share and we can, for example, export it as PDF. And I just see that Claude reworked it one more time and now it looks even closer to the sketch that I created. So fantastic. Good, that's it regarding the slide presentations. You see, you can create any kind of presentation you like. And now we will create a new website that looks like my existing website, but with new content. So now we go to prototype, we call it AI Consulting, and we select again the design system I just created. And then we can select if you want a wireframe. This is basically just a concept sketch, but we go with high fidelity. So this is the final website. And then we hit here, create. And now, the same way as we did it with the slide presentation, we can provide any kind of content. And again, here I used Gemini to just come up with an idea for an example website about AI consulting, and we will provide that now to Claude Design. So I use again the upload button. I select Limitless AI Solutions website.md. This is exactly the content that Gemini created. We click upload and I just type create a website about the provided content using my design, and then we send it out. And now Claude Design will again take the design system, take the content, and then create the entire website in a few minutes. All right, this looks already fantastic. Claude Design already came up with the hero section and we can already scroll through the entire website. You see, it looks exactly like my existing website. Absolutely fantastic. And also all the elements here look beautiful and match perfectly the design. Also the buttons look exactly like on my website. And we also have a little contact section. As you can see, my logo is missing because I haven't provided it yet, but this is just a tiny detail. And then we can edit it the exact same way as we also did it with the slide presentation. We can use the comments, or we can edit directly, or we can also use drawing. So I tried to open both websites parallel, that you see how good this actually matches. It's not working perfectly, but you get the idea. I think we can all agree that the design already matches pretty good to my already existing website, with the exception of a few little details, especially down here in the contact section. I think this is pretty amazing. And exactly like that, you get a beautiful website in your already existing design within seconds. Or remember, you could have used any other design you spot on the internet and then you just copy it and use it for yourself. So the website is created, we could edit it, and if we want to use it, we just go to share, and then we have different opportunities. We can just download it as HTML file. You swap it out on your server and that's it. Or you could also go to handoff to Claude Code. And when you click on that, you get a little code snippet. You can copy that command, and then you could, for example, go to your Claude Code project where you already created your original website. You paste that command, and then as the link to our Claude Design project is included in the prompt, Claude Code will tell us exactly what to do to get our website live and running. And if we provide server access, Claude Code can even do the entire implementation for us. So in my opinion, the combination of Claude Design and Claude Code is, without an exception, the easiest way to copy or create a new website and then get it running. All right, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you think about Claude Design. And if you want to dive even deeper into Claude and everything you can do with it, check out the description below. There you find the link to my latest video course. That's it for today. See you in the next video.